YouTube? Awesome Rider here. Welcome to my review for BoonBoomger Episode 7. So this was our debut for Boon Orange, officially completing the Core 5 team. And honestly, I really did enjoy it. I had a good time with this episode. It was pretty much everything I've been enjoying about BoonBoomger, just a fun watch, a lot of little things I liked. I was a little bit underwhelmed, or a little bit whelmed by his debut because I was disappointed by a couple things, which we'll get to. But first of all, there was kind of a B-plot, which surprised me in a way. It was teased in the preview about Boon Boon being a fan of like this character that's like this tire creature that looks kind of like a Kemi, to be honest. And the beginning plot is them trying to sneak him in to meet it or see it or whatever, and they put this crazy disguise on him that, as mentioned in my preview discussion clip, is equal parts like funny but also really creepy. Like you could see it being a weird horror thing in a way. But I was surprised that that was like more of a bookend. I thought that we were going to flash back and forth between whatever story was going to debut Genba and then this antics. But they basically just had it at the beginning and was a way for, I think it was Pink and Black, to run into the villain. And then they bookended it with Orange being the only one to seemingly understand his affection for this character, which I guess was kind of a nice way of endearing him to Boombot and the team a little bit. So I was pleasantly surprised because I did think this was actually a funny bit, and I've been enjoying Boon Boon so far, outside of me not being the biggest fan of the crackhead type of voice. But I've been enjoying the character. I didn't mind having this fun little bit, but I was glad that it didn't have this mix with the main plot for what should have been a significant episode for a Ranger debut. So speaking of the Ranger debut, and kind of a surprise, I guess Orange didn't have his powers. It really seemed like he might have, especially since we had that earlier episode where he was communicating via what seemed to be the little individual morpher piece that's not part of the axe, but it seemed like he might have already been active. But this week he was full on given the axe when Red says, oh, it was custom made for you. So I'll admit I was a little disappointed. I thought it would have been kind of cool if he had already been active. I think there was story potential there. You know, they went for this angle of, it was interesting because it felt a little bit rushed, but I also felt like I understood it to a degree. For Red talking to Orange, he said, like, your motivation is, like, we're, you know, constantly moving forward and accelerating. Things are getting more serious. We don't want to leave you behind. You need to join the fight as a BoonBoomger. And that kind of makes sense from what we've seen from Genba so far. And later on, he does say, like, he's joining because of that, but he also has his own goals. So there's still a little bit of mystery there as to his involvement and everything. But for Red, I was initially confused. I'm like, why this all of a sudden? It seems rather rushed. But I'm going to assume the reason he's doing it is because he recognizes maybe there's an escalating threat with the arrival of Mad Rex and they need more help. It's just funny because he's been the most, like, pre-established, and yet it felt rushed in a way. I guess because I was just surprised by the way it went down. I didn't hate it, and I feel like by the time we get to the end of the series, the flow of the story will make sense. But like I said, there's just kind of missed potential there with him having already been active. And it's not as if you're robbed of the first transformation on screen, because for us, it would be the first transformation on screen. This week's monster was this, like, wall monster. They literally, like, turn the key into a wall, and it's pretty cool. Yet again, I've been enjoying the monsters. I found this to be one kind of fun. I thought it was a fun design that led to some kind of funny moments, but also some creative moments. As I mentioned last week, I was hoping to see continuation of creative fights, and the fights were just as entertaining this week, and there was kind of a fun scene where Orange kind of had to go between the two walls of the monster's hands, kind of like a hallway scene. That was pretty cool. The fight was also pretty fun. They used it in some creative ways. We debuted his version of the mecha, which was really nice. I think they've been doing a pretty good job of making these debuts feel substantial, and I hope that, like, it doesn't seem like we're debuting anything next week like the night form, but I hope we give an episode to breathe, just like we did with the police form. But I overall really like the design. I'm honestly having a hard time deciding which one I like the best. I think maybe default Knight at the moment, but seeing the other two in action more so in the show, I just really like both of them. They have a lot of personality and identity, and I really like the way that they work. I also liked that we had, almost said Mad Max, that we had Mad Rex involved in the fight this week, as he joined the fight against the Monster of the Week, sort of continuing his rivalry with Boon Red. Kind of had a lot more going on, made the stakes a little bit higher. Also, it was nice to have a fight where, you know, usually if you have a Ranger that's focused, or simply a generic fight, you usually have one Ranger like Red get to fight the monster, and then the others will fight like the putties or whatever. Yes, I just call all of them putties. But it was kind of nice to have two major battles in there, and kind of furthering like the plot with Mad Rex and Red, while also continuing the plot of the week, as well as Orange's debut and the overall story. And it seems like we're setting up, it doesn't seem like, we are setting up for the continuation of this little mini rivalry arc in the preview episode, as later on you just kind of have them reflecting on each other, where Red's like, Mad Rex, and then Mad Rex is like, Boon Red. You were so cool, and then you shouted your name out like an absolute thundering loony. And at the end of the episode, they introduce Orange to the base, like, yeah, bro, I've been here before. Like, he's been in there, right? Like, I think in one of the first episodes, he was there to, like, pick up a delivery or something like that, but that was just kind of funny. But it went down a little bit different than I thought. I'm sure Orange will still do his thing sometimes, kind of observing from a distance and being like, or whatever. But it definitely seems like it's more of everybody's in the fold type of thing, and Black and Orange aren't going to be separate. Which in a way I kind of like. I think that there would have been value to maybe extend things out a little bit further. Like if it were up to me, I would have had a longer period of time with the team of 3 and then the team of 4. Maybe kept Orange a little bit separate for a little bit longer, just to explore some interesting dynamics and have things paced a little better. But by Toku standards, this was pretty well paced. And I also do appreciate that once we have them together, there's not a gray area for too long. Or at least it seems, because I really didn't like the way Ryusoulger did it, which was especially funny because that was a series where like Black and Green didn't look different at all. They were basically part of the core 5, and there was just kind of always this gray area for a really long time. I'm like, get on the team or not, crap or get off the pot. So I like that there's not any gray area with that. I don't know if this will ever be answered because obviously we know the meta reason is merchandising, but I am curious why Orange and Black's powers are different. It would have been different if we had the core 3 established from the beginning, but it's just funny that he recruits Pink with, I guess, maybe the last of the old model or something. But it does make me curious as to why these BoonBoomgers are different. It's usually, like I said, Green and Black and Ryusoulger weren't different. I don't remember why Black and Green were different in RPM, but I do remember that, obviously the Thunder Rangers had a reason to be different and stuff like that, so I am curious, why their powers are different. That's kind of more of a nerdy meta thing. But overall, even though I was a little disappointed that Orange wasn't pre-established and I felt things were a little bit more rushed than I thought they were going to be, I still really enjoyed this episode, and I'm looking forward to see where the show goes now that we have all 5 of them working together. But what did you guys think of this week's episode? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell to get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.